Hey everybody, guess what? We are live this afternoon with Bari Beasley from the Heritage Foundation. How's it going? I see that you came into the office just for us.
I did, just for you guys. I actually have not really spent any time in the building since March 13th. So it was interesting. It was sad. I'm missing my team, being present together in the building. So I thought a lot about that when I walked in today.
Yeah, so for everybody who hasn't been out like myself, what does it look like in downtown Franklin right now? Tell us what it's looking like.
Just as beautiful as ever and just quiet, very, very quiet. And I went down Main Street and, I'm so ready for everybody to be back and be together. And we will never take for granted, strolling on Main Street on a spring day. I look forward to hopefully by, who knows when, the next few weeks this summer, all being back together downtown.
Yeah, I know that you guys have been super busy. One thing you just sent out that you're doing, which I love the idea and hadn't even thought about this, is doing a online like chronicling the pandemic so that we can remember. Like I know we all want to get out of this and move on, but it
Right.
will be good in a few years to kind of look back and try to remember. Tell me more about that.
I'm glad you asked me about that. I have such a great team and they're innovative and creative. And, the day that we left the building on March 13th, not knowing how many days we would be working remotely. And I just encourage them all to just be very innovative and creative. And let's think about how we get our mission communicated via all of our technology channels. And so one really great idea that came about from the preservation team is this online time capsule. So you can imagine that while we all want to be out of the pandemic, there will be a time in the future where people will want to know what was it like in Williamson County during this unprecedented time. And so Dr. Blake Wintry, who's our Director of Preservation, and others on our team have really worked to create this portal. And we encourage everybody in our county to send us information via our website and through that portal to share photographs, journal entries, stories, ideas, how they're feeling. And we want to really just be able to capture all of that and have it for future generations.
Yeah, I think that's such a great idea. Like I said, to be able to have that to look back, even a few years from now, because I think we all forget quickly once we move past it.
That's right. That's right.
What else is going on? I know it says, but you're behind the scenes right now, like all of us kind of working, but you guys are keeping busy. So tell me what else you guys have going on.
We are. I'm really proud of my team. They are just carrying on. It's business as usual, even though it's business in a different way. I mentioned to you earlier that I've been keeping record myself. I think I spend about 20 hours a week on Zoom. So a lot of those hours are with, my staff and my team, and we're just continuing to live into our strategic goals and our vision and our plans for this year. Even though we're shifting dates and we're rethinking how to do some things, we're still business as usual in that sense. So along those lines, we have events coming up. We have Main Street Festival that we moved to July 18th through 20th. We have our annual meeting and preservation awards, which will be also in June. Let me see, that date is June 16th. So we recently moved that. That will be a virtual meeting. And so we encourage everybody who is a member of the Heritage Foundation to connect with us virtually for our preservation awards and our annual meetings. So stay tuned for more information on that. We have our Rick Warwick Lecture Series, which is July 7th, and then our annual symposium, which is always a really beloved event for people in the community. We are intending to connect with a really renowned speaker that will be hosting, hopefully here. And so stay tuned too on if we'll be able to do that in person or virtually. And that is June 26th.
So tell me, this is the first time I'm hearing about the Heritage Awards being virtual. So it's usually held at the Franklin Theater. I've been many times. So tell me about the decision to move that online this year.
Well, we've really tried our best to be really thoughtful and careful and safe, and also think about the best way to honor the long traditions of the Heritage Foundation, one of which is this Preservation Awards and annual meeting. And so we moved the date from May to June 16th, and then we made a decision in the past week or two that it would be best to make it a virtual meeting. So I think it will still be probably at the Franklin Theater, maybe at the jail, the Leahy McGidd Big House for Historic Preservation, the old jail, to host it with just a few people present. And so our team's working through the details of how to make that a virtual meeting.
That'll be interesting. I can't wait to hear more about that. You mentioned also moving the date for Main Street Festival, which usually takes place in April. Have all of your vendors and everyone renewed for the July date, or what is the July date going to look like?
I'm so glad you asked me that, because we're in roughly our I think it's the 36th year of Main Street Festival. And so we have vendors that have been with us a long time. Almost every single vendor moved their date with us. Our sponsors have stood strong with us. We are so appreciative to the corporate community. We're so appreciative to all of our food vendors and all of our craft vendors. And so we intend to have a dynamic Main Street Festival in July 18th through 20th. And my team is hard at work on planning that festival.
I can't wait.
We'll be back in downtown enjoying that this summer.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned moving the event, and you talked about sponsors. What is it like right now for a nonprofit and trying to raise money and continue your mission during a time like this?
Well, really, I would say, because we're a 53-year-old organization and we've had such strong partnerships with not only our donors, but with the corporate community, I'm very appreciative that they've not only stepped up to continue to support the foundation, and we're doing that by, phone calls and by continuing to engage in programs like the Big Payback that's coming up here in a few weeks. And we have a lot of new initiatives and fundraising that will be launching in May because it's Preservation Month. So we just feel like all of our people, our supporters, they just really have stood by us through a very difficult time for everybody, and we really appreciate that. So things are looking great on that front.
Well, that's good to hear during this difficult time. You talked about preservation. How is the project of the O'More property going? Franklin Grove is actually the name now, right?
That's right. Franklin Grove, the former O'More School of Design. We are working hard to adhere to all the social distancing rules, and so we're not really present very much on the campus. But our architects are at work. We have just finished the first draft of our business plan for Franklin Grove, and that has been a fun process because we really understand, our plans for how we're going to conduct business there. So we're very excited about that. And we have some preservation work that we're doing behind the scenes to prepare to connect with our architects on all those pieces. So I'm on a call every week about Franklin Grove. So we're continuing to move forward and excited about that as well.
I can't wait for that to be reopened to the public. The grounds itself, even if you don't go in the building, are so amazing, and the views from that hill are just incredible.
We are very blessed, and we're so excited as an organization that we're going to be able to restore it, and we're going to be able to create a place and a space for this community, because everything about Franklin Grove is for the community. And so we're really excited for all the citizens of Franklin and Williamson County to have such a place in downtown.
Yes, that's great. So tell me about your family. What is your story right now during the pandemic? How are you dealing with this?
We're actually having a lot of fun. So it's been great. My husband and I have been at home with our 5-year-old daughter. I wake up in the morning and I'm upstairs, and so I have about 6 or 8 hours a day on Zoom, it feels like. So in that regard, I'm still feel like I'm going away to work. But in the hours that I'm not at events every night, and I'm not at an event every weekend, there's been so much quality time for us as a family, which has been great. We are actually in the process of moving in the next few weeks. So my husband and I are having a lot of conversation about what does that look like? How do we have movers, and how do we get one house ready to leave and go to another one? And so that's going to be an interesting challenge for us over the next month in the middle of a pandemic to go through the process of moving.
Yeah, that'll be a big story. I can't wait to hear that after you get done, what that was like to move.
I know it. So hopefully we're going to be very safe, and we'll have our masks, and we'll have all of our steps in place to be really safe through the process.
Yeah, you and I were just talking, and you reminded me, which I can't believe it's already coming up on this, that this will be in May, your 3rd year with the Heritage Foundation. What has your reflection been so far in being in that position with the Heritage Foundation?
You know, I would say May 8th marks my 3rd year with the Heritage Foundation. And I love it as much today as I did the day that I walked in the door. This has been 3 of the best years I could ever imagine. I've met the greatest friends. I've assembled a dream team here at the Heritage Foundation, and we've done projects and activities that I never could have dreamed of the day that I started in 2017. Projects like Franklin Grove. And it's been a joy to be able to be, on the ground floor of something like this that will hopefully inspire and be available for generations to come. So that's been really an exciting part of this job. I wake up in the mornings and, now with the pandemic, we can't do this, but I've thought these whole 3 years, it's great to wake up in the morning and think, I can't wait to get to the office. I'm excited about the meetings I have today. And that's because I have a really solid board, I have a great staff, I have an incredible group of constituents that are around me, supporting me, and it's been just so much fun to get to do good in the community. That's what we talk about as a team all the time. We're just here to do good in this community, and there's a lot of joy in that.
Yeah, I love all the events at the Heritage Foundation, like especially the ones that are open for the public, the Main Street Festival, Pumpkin Fest, Dickens, which is incredible this year. I hope that you'll keep that footprint again. I don't know if that's in the plans to keep everything off Main Street and to the side streets so you can enjoy the festival, but
It
I,
is. We plan to continue that.
I loved that. I don't know what the feedback was from everyone else, but that was really so much easier to navigate this year.
Well, and I'd like to mention the merchants. So one of our divisions in Heritage is the Downtown Franklin Association, as you know, and I think Jill Bergen, the executive director of DFA, probably will be on with you if she's not already.
Yeah.
But really the feedback on Dickens of a Christmas and the reason that those tents were moved off Main Street is because that was the request of our downtown merchants. And it was great to be able to make those steps that were necessary. And it really, we felt like highlighted our downtown merchants during fourth quarter, which was very important. And, speaking of Jill, I think that DFA is doing some incredible work right now during the time of this pandemic. So Jill is a liaison between our local government and our merchants. She's moved the monthly meetings to online with Zoom. Our team, Jill and others, have worked to really increase the following on our DFA pages where we have all kinds of information about merchants. I think we've increased Facebook by 400 followers since January and Instagram by about 2,300 on the DFA platforms. So Jill told me just today that instead of a promotion of a local business, say once a day through those channels, we're trying to do that 3 to 4 times a day. And so everything in her work is about these merchants, it's about these local businesses, and we're really committed to helping them through this process and then when they're ready to open back up.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me how the DFA will help with those when the reopening happens, because they do play a role in like gathering those merchants together downtown.
Absolutely. Well, Downtown Franklin Association, again, is a division of Heritage, but it's also not only sort of a merchants association, but through DFA, we run the Main Street America program, which was born out of the National Trust for Historic Preservation. So we are an official Main Street America town. And so Jill's work really is again, completely focused on the merchants. And so part of the plan moving forward, and one of the key areas of focus as a Main Street America city is on promotion. So we're having a lot of dialogue internally right now about what kind of campaigns and messaging that we can roll out when businesses open back up to continue to hopefully drive people in our community to these important businesses in downtown.
Right, right. Yeah, because the small businesses, I know a lot of them have been struggling with having to be shut down. Obviously, all want to be safe, but it's still tough. Speaking of downtown, I just talked to Paul yesterday with the Franklin Theater, which is also part of the Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
Love the new programming there. Tell us more about your vision for the Franklin Theater.
I'm glad you asked me. So the theater, again, is one of our 3 divisions. So we have Franklin Grove, as we talked about, and then Downtown Franklin Association, and then the Franklin Theater. Paul's doing an incredible job. The theater is actually busy without people right now, with very few people, because we're prioritizing some safety issues. We're wanting to make sure that it's as safe as possible. So we're looking at the rigs and all of the components that make the theater function, and so that it is exactly where it needs to be for when our patrons come back to the theater. But in addition to that, he's working on rescheduling some of the shows that were postponed because of the pandemic. He's preparing and working on the digital media strategy to promote all of the upcoming series. So, we have a family series, and we have the Great Performing Arts series. And so I've been following the ticket sales, and it's really exciting to see that in spite of a pandemic, our community is responding to the Franklin Theater and will be ready to come back and to be in that theater and to see shows. And I think Paul said it yesterday, but I also reiterate, we'll be back with movies. We'll be back with all the typical programming that people have come to love from year to year. And then also some new programming that's really focused on diversity. So I would say over the past year, we've done some market research, and we've also had a lot of soul searching and a lot of really critical conversations, myself and the board and the staff. And we feel like we do a great job at serving the audience that we've served since 2011 when the theater reopened. But there's also a lot of demographics that we want to reach, and we want to be as inclusive as possible. And so we're working to diversify our programming so that we can meet all of the audiences that would possibly want to come and be a part of the Franklin Theater. And that's a big priority. In addition to that, we're continuing to provide great customer service, and just we want it to be the crown jewel of Main Street and continue that. And so I'm really proud of Paul. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. He brings years and years of industry experience, and he's educating all of us of important best practices and what we should be doing to move the theater forward.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's always great to see the big marquee lit up on Main Street.
And there's something comforting and exciting when you go down Main Street and you see that, for sure. And they've been putting encouraging quotes on the marquee. So if you do drive downtown, you have to check it out.
I'm gonna have to go make a drive now, and maybe nighttime, so we
Yes.
can go see it all lit up. Well, it's great to chat with you and to keep up with what the Heritage Foundation is doing right now. I can't wait till we get to see each other again in person. Maybe we can celebrate your
Me
3-year
too.
anniversary.
Let's do it. I can't wait. You're invited over to the old jail, Leahy McGitt, as soon as we're open back up for business.
All right, sounds great. All right, thanks everybody. We will be back tomorrow morning with Karen Kingsbury, so be sure to check that out. And in the meantime, go check out the website, williamsonsource.com. Thanks, Barry. We will see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.